Hello and good morning. Let's take a look at today's bell work. Guess what? We did Pythagorean theorem before. We're going to do it again. So look up here. First thing I want to see is some dots up here. So put some dots. Okay. Now remember, the dots go together. These go together. Doesn't matter which one comes first. And then this one has no dots. This one is alone. And you work it out. That's 144 plus 81. You're going to take the square root of whatever that is, and you get your answer. Well, let's see. I don't know what it is, so we're going to try to work it. Clear your calculator out. 144. And by the way, I have some up here. I am missing two calculators, and I would like them back. Plus 81, press equals. Now hit shift, square root, or just hit square root of 225. And on this one, I get 15. Any questions on how to do that? And again, this would be like inches. This is not area, this is just the length of a side. This one right here is a square, and you want to find the diagonal. Well, if it's a square, all of these sides are equal. So you can get rid of this triangle. We don't even need that one. So we're looking for this. Again, color the dots. So you're going to have 4 squared plus 4 squared is equal to x squared. X is going to be the square root of 16 plus 16, which is the square root of 32. Whatever that is, you can use your calculator on that. All right, let's turn our attention now. And before I do that, today you have a worksheet. This is worksheet C, and it looks like this. So if you can't be with us, guess what? You can draw it. There it is. Okay, don't forget, tomorrow is Albert I.O. And here's the back side. You do have a few word problems, so you're going to have to draw the diagrams and try to figure that out. Okay? I think that's pretty much it. All right, let's turn our attention now to college algebra. And for college algebra, I want you to fill that chart in. So to find the vertical asymptotes, you let the denominator equal 0. The denominator. Okay? To find the horizontal, you got to look and see if it's bottom heavy. So if you have x to the first over x to the second, that's bottom heavy. And by default, it's going to be y equals 0. If the exponents are the same, like x squared over x squared, then it's going to be the ratio of the coefficient. So if that was a 2 and that was a 1, then it would be y equals 2 over 1, which is 2. And then finally, if the top is bigger than the bottom, then it's top heavy. This one has no horizontal, none. But it does have a slant. Okay? So the slant is where the top exponent is exactly, and that word is very important, bigger by 1. This one's bigger by 1. So to find the slant, you have to do long division. And you'll get a line. And it will look like a slant. All right, let's go to today's work. Copy everything you see right there. Now you got to memorize these formulas. And I'm going to work these two with you or for you. Okay? And I'll try to give you some practice before I give you the worksheet. So look up here, and we might watch a video. So notice this one is x squared, so we know it's going up and down. Okay, and they have the x squared on the left. So I'm going to rearrange this just to put it in that form. like that. So I switched them around. This right here is a perfect square trinomial because half of 16 is 8, and 8 squared is 64. So that's going to be x plus 8 squared equals y. Now, to get the focus, or actually the vertex, it's going to be the opposite of these. So the opposite of that. This one is not expanded out, so it's got to be 0. So the opposite of a plus 8 is a minus 8, and this one didn't have a number here, so it's got to be 0. And there it is. And that's how you do that. Any questions on that problem right there? Okay? Let's keep moving. Number 2. All right, again, number 2, if you look at it, it's not written in the form that I wanted it. So what I'm going to do is switch some things around here. Okay? So I'm going to switch this side like I have that. So I'm going to say 2x squared minus 4x minus 2 equals y. And I prefer to do it that way because it helps me. Now, this one you're not going to be able to factor like we did this one. So what you're going to do is move the 2 to the other side to get rid of it. So that becomes a plus 2, right? You're going to add 2 to both sides. This one you're going to factor out a 2, and then you're left with x squared minus 2x, right? Because 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times x squared is 2x. Okay, now we're going to complete the square here. Remember how you take half of the middle term? Copy that down. So half of 2 is 1, and then 1 squared is 1. So what you're going to do is add 1 right here, right there, plus 1. And then you get y plus 2. Now, since you added 1 on this side, you technically have to add 1 on this side. But wait a second. You have a 2 sitting out here. And that 2 is going to multiply. So 2 times 1 is 2. So you essentially added 2 to this side. 2, don't forget, this number, 2 times 1 is 2. So you got to add 2 to this side. When you do that, this becomes a perfect square. So you're going to get x minus 1 quantity squared. And this becomes y plus 4. Okay? So now what you have to do is get rid of that 2 to get it in this form right here. Okay? So we're going to divide by 2. So we're going to get x minus 1 quantity squared equals 1/2, because we're dividing by 2, and then y plus 4. So the vertex here is the opposite. So the opposite of this is 1, and the opposite of this is negative 4. That's your vertex. This right here is going to give you your p-value. So you're going to say 4p is equal to 1/2. And then you're going to divide by 4. When you divide by 4, what you're going to end up with is p is equal to 1/8. So you get p is equal to 1/8. That's your p-value. Okay, so let's see how this looks here. The vertex is over 1, but down 4. Copy that down. That's your vertex. This is a positive. Okay, p is a positive, so it's going up. So this thing's going to go up. This parabola. Okay? Now p is 1/8. So the focus is going to be here. It's going to be 1/8 the distance right here. And the directrix is going to be here, and that's going to be 1/8 under it. And it should look like that. The latus rectum from here to here is going to be 4p. So the latus rectum is going to be 4p, and p is 1/8. So that should be 4 times 1/8 gives you 1/2, because this reduces. So the latus rectum is going to be 1/2. And that's what we had here. That's your latus rectum. And there it is. So this is actually a pretty skinny graph, is what it is. Okay? And that's what we're doing today. Let's try one more. Copy this one down. And let's rewrite it, because I want the x squared over here. So put negative 3x squared plus 12x minus 10 is equal to y. We'll watch a couple of videos which might help you. Okay? So here we go. First thing I would do is move the 10 to the other side. So I'm going to get negative 3x squared plus 12x is equal to y plus 10, because you moved it from a negative side right here, it becomes a positive. Now we're going to factor out a negative 3. So when you factor out a negative 3, you're left with x squared, and then this is going to change. So that's going to be a minus 4x. Let's check it. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. That checks. Now we're going to complete the square. To complete the square, you're going to take half of 4, which is 2. And then you're going to square it, so you're going to say plus 4. Okay? Now, since I added 4 on this side, you technically have to add 4 on that side. But guess what? We got a negative 3 sitting out here. So negative 3 times 4 is really a negative 12. So what you're doing on this side is a negative 12, so you got to put a negative 12 on this side. This becomes a perfect square right here. It's going to be x minus 2, like that. This becomes whatever it is, y minus 2. Okay? Once you get to this point, and I left my 3 off here, right? Once you get to this point, the only thing you have to do is divide by that negative 3. So you're going to get x minus 2 quantity squared equals negative 1/3, because you're dividing by negative 3, and then y minus 2. So your vertex is going to be the opposite. So the opposite of that is 2, and the opposite of that is 2, and that's your vertex. To get your p-value, you're going to say right here, 4p is equal to negative 1/3. You're going to divide by 4, and that's going to go on the bottom here. So p is equal to a negative 1/12, and that's your p-value. Your latus rectum is this number right here in front, which is negative 1/3. There it is. That's how you do it. Okay? You are going to have some graphing. Today you have a worksheet which looks like this. And believe me, you got to really, really try on this. Remember, I told you you had to step up. And I meant that. And this is what we're doing today. So if you can't be with us, there it is. And you got to graph these. Okay? So I'm going to try one with you, number 5. Let's graph it. Copy this down. X squared minus 2x minus 3 is equal to y. First thing I want you to do is set that up. Now write down your formula. X squared equals 4py. Got to memorize that. Use your notes, okay? All right, so the first thing we're going to do is what? Well, we're going to move that negative 3 over here, and that becomes a plus 3, like that. We're going to take half of 2, which is 1, and we're going to square it. So we're going to do a plus 1 here. And since we did a plus 1 here, we need to do a plus 1 here to make it balanced. This becomes a perfect square, x minus 1 squared. This becomes y plus 4. So your vertex is going to be the opposite, which is 1 and a negative 4. So on your graph, go over 1 and then down 4. And put a dot. That's your vertex. Okay? Now let me think here a minute. There must be a 1 in front of here, and it's positive. So this thing should be going up. Let's find the p-value. So put 4p is equal to 1. P is equal to 1/4. So you want to go up a 4 and put a focus. And you want to go down a 4 and put a directrix. The directrix makes the parabola go the other way. It's not going to cross the directrix. Okay? And there it is. And that's everything we need. Directrix, P, focus, and vertex. Now, you might say, well, wait a second. What is actually the coordinates of the focus? And that's a good question. The coordinates of the focus here would be over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 3, and we went up a quarter, so it's got to be 3 3/4 to be exact. You might say, well, what is the directrix? The directrix crosses the y-axis, so it's going to be y equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 1/4. There it is. This is kind of tricky, okay? But that's how you do it. And like I said, we'll watch a video. When you go home today, I would like you to watch a video as well, because this stuff requires some work. And the topic today is graphing parabolas. Okay? I hope this helps you. It's a lot of work, I know it is. But we will stay with it. We'll spend today on it, and we'll spend Monday on it. And then we'll move on to, I guess it's ellipses. Have a good morning.